fantasy, adventure, the mouse. Walt Disney World. Like no other place on Earth, it's where people check reality at the door. Escape is the name of the game because Disney invented what everyone calls theme parks. In the next hour, we go inside their fantasy world and uncover the incredible story of what makes Walt Disney World tick. Watch as we reveal the secrets to their success and explore the makings of their colossal parks and attractions. And get a sneak peek at Disney's newest thrill ride. We're going behind the scenes, and we've got exclusive footage that has never been seen before. Join us as we uncover the hidden world of this Orlando-based empire and reveal some of Disney's best-kept secrets. In Walt Disney World Resort, Behind the Scenes. Walt Disney World. These three words evoke images that most everyone has seen or experienced. A world of fantasy and make-believe. It is a complete escape from reality. And the most popular vacation destination on Earth.
Nothing's ever going to be like Disney.
Kids dream about it. The competition studies it. No one has ever been able to duplicate it. So what makes Walt Disney World #1?
Disney is held to a higher standard because Disney started out holding itself to a higher standard.
How do they keep people coming back?
The expectations of people who come to Disney are probably higher than when they do anything else in their life.
And what is the real story of Walt Disney World?
Walt Disney World is definitely the #1 destination for tourism in the entire world.
4 theme parks, 3 water parks, 18 resort hotels, and more visitors than any other place on Earth. "47 square miles of Orlando, Florida, twice the size of Manhattan. It's every kid's fantasy, and adults spend millions to make it come true."
I think going to Walt Disney World has become a rite of passage for American children. And I think that once they get grown up and have their own children, that they're going to bring them back.
But is Walt Disney World just for kids?
It doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the world. You forget about all of it when you're here. Everybody's 10 years old.
I've always been impressed every time I've come here by how big it is and how much it changes every time I come. The place is absolutely huge, and each time there's always a new park.
We like Disney so much that we put a monorail system that runs around the entire perimeter of our house, complete with a contemporary hotel and spaceship berth.
We came on Dedication Day, October 25th, 1971, and we've come practically every month since that time, so that's been at least 400 times or more.
But how did it all begin? Once upon a time, there was no Walt Disney World. There was only California's Disneyland. When Disneyland opened in 1955, there was nothing like it. It was an escape from the carnivals and sideshows of the day. Families were safe at Disneyland.
Disneyland was completely an original concept. It took you away from the world as you knew it and transported you to a different place.
Critics predicted failure, but the public disagreed, and they came in droves. Today it's different, but in the 50s, the park was surrounded by tacky restaurants and cheap hotels.
Harbor Boulevard had become just a neon jungle of terrible signs, and Walt hated it because it was the way people came to the entrance to Disneyland.
And I just got mad down at Disneyland, and I said, when we go out again, I said, we're not going to have this happen to us, where we take the blame.
Disney scoured the country for a place to start over.
The Disney entourage was flying over Central Florida, and Walt looked down and he saw the crisscross of I-4 and Florida's Turnpike, and he said, that's it, that's where we go.
To prevent another neon jungle, Walt knew he needed to buy a lot of land. And if word got out, the price of that land would skyrocket. He had to keep it secret. Special operatives were hired to oversee this covert mission. They were able to stay under the radar and purchased more than 27,000 acres using false identities.
They created 5 dummy corporations that bought the land so that people here in Central Florida who were watching this take place could not tell that it was the Walt Disney Company that was behind these land purchases.
In 1965, Disney's cover was blown, and land prices jumped from $200 an acre to $1,000 virtually overnight.
This is where the early planning is taking place for our so-called Disney World project.
Walt never saw his dream realized. He died in December of 1966.
When Walt died, I think it really slowed us down quite a bit.
The loss of Walt Disney was a serious blow to the company. Without Walt's guidance, the first Florida theme park, the Magic Kingdom, would be modeled after Disneyland.
I think of Disneyland in California as charming, and the one in Florida is spectacular. Obviously, they had the land, and there was no Harbor Boulevard 10 feet to the side of Tomorrowland.
Turning Florida swampland into a Magic Kingdom was nothing short of impossible. Thousands of construction workers labored day and night. It was one of the world's largest private construction projects. And with so much land, they were able to get creative.
We wanted to elevate the whole Magic Kingdom so you could see it from a distance away.
You won't notice it when you enter the park. But when you're in the Magic Kingdom, you're actually a full 14 feet above the ground. So what's going on below the surface?
On the lower level, all the servicing is done and all the employees come to work and distribute out into the park, while the guests are on the upper level where, all the guest activities and the magic unfolds.
October of 1971, the moment arrived. Walt Disney World opened to the public. Disney was ready, but where were the crowds?
Opening day, October 1971, was a very frightening experience for all of us because the word got out that there were going to be mobs of people and you couldn't get there on the roads.
After the rocky start, attendance took off. But did they misjudge their audience?
I think most of us had the impression that Florida was a lot of old people. We quickly realized that it was the same audience that we were already drawing to Disneyland, and that was the family audience.
Through the years, the Magic Kingdom grew. New rides and attractions were added. According to Amusement Business magazine, the Magic Kingdom is now the top dog in U.S. theme park attendance. Its design is unique. 5 themed lands surround a central hub: Adventureland, Frontierland, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, and Liberty Square. They seem random, but they're not. They were themed to promote Disney's films and TV shows.
On television, Uncle Walt showed every kid growing up in America the adventures of Davy Crockett in Frontierland and the adventures of the African lion for Adventureland.
The lands connect to the hub and radiate out like the spokes of a wheel. Now, most theme parks follow Disney's design. Near the center of the hub, one of the most recognizable symbols in the world, Cinderella Castle. At 189 feet, it can be seen from miles away. So, how many stones did it take to build this princess's palace? None. It may look like stone, but it's actually a mountain of steel and fiberglass.
The important thing here is that we have very strong winds in Central Florida, so things have to be built to standards that will withstand hurricanes.
Tall tales surround many castles. Cinderella's is no exception. Some say the spires can be removed in the event of a hurricane. They're wrong. But the castle hides some secrets that are true.
One thing that is interesting is there's actually was going to be an apartment for Walt Disney and his family inside the castle. The room was built, but of course Walt Disney passed away before the Magic Kingdom opened, so it was used for many years by the telephone operators here at Walt Disney World.
Every day, thousands of visitors storm the Magic Kingdom. The first thing they see? Main Street, USA. This theme park version of early America is modeled after Walt's childhood town of Marceline, Missouri. The shops on Main Street would be right at home in Hollywood. Why? They're built like film sets.
The buildings on Main Street are full scale at the bottom, and then they get a little bit smaller as they go up higher, and that's important because to have a 3-story plus building here on Main Street in this close proximity to each other and this length would really be huge in scale to the rest of the parks.
The Magic Kingdom is Walt Disney's legacy. It's a small world. Peter Pan's flight and the Jungle Cruise are all his creations. The last attraction Walt influenced? The Haunted Mansion. In the Haunted Mansion, doom buggies take visitors on a spine-chilling journey.
Now don't close your eyes and don't try to hide.
Within these walls are some of Disney's oldest and best special effects. A disembodied head floats in a crystal ball. Ghosts haunt creepy corridors. And then there is one of Disney's best-kept secrets. The ghosts in the dining room. The ghosts have been mystifying visitors for years, but the technology that creates them is pretty simple.
In the Haunted Mansion, we have several special effects, and a lot of those are based on techniques that were developed by magicians years ago, and parlor tricks, reflections in glass, and all things that have been around since, long before Disney was designing attractions.
We spin our own webs, we dust the cobwebs as well, and we have to make sure that our custodial crew knows, don't clean the cobwebs, and please don't dust the dust.
After 30 years, the Haunted Mansion still packs them in.
I think people come back to the Haunted Mansion for a couple of reasons. One is it has an edge to it, and another reason is that we put an awful lot of details into it. You can ride this attraction many times and see things that you never saw before.
But how does it all work? The spooks in the Haunted Mansion are all controlled from a top-secret location. Our cameras were granted a very rare look into this highly sensitive and restricted area. The Digital Animation Control Systems, or DACS.
DACS is the nerve center electronically of the park.
More than 1,100 robotic figures called audio animatronics and 700 soundtracks are all controlled from here. This is the brains of the Magic Kingdom. Inside this one cabinet, all the creatures of the Haunted Mansion.
This contains all of the sounds throughout the attraction from end to end. This is a raven from the graveyard scene. There are some cats from the graveyard. And of course, one that everyone will recognize, the howling dog. He's on the outside.
DAC's sophisticated control systems go beyond the attractions. They also bring Disney characters to life in the daily parade. Despite tired feet and the sometimes sweltering heat, people line up hours in advance to catch the parade.
The parade on Main Street makes Main Street come alive. Our guests expect a parade every day, and people wait for the parade.
More than 100 performers, float drivers, and technicians bring it to life every day of the year. Buried beneath the street is a top-secret tracking system that controls the speed of the floats.
The core of the tracking system is our pucks, or RFIDs. What we have is about 300 of these actually embedded in the pavement on the street. What happens is the float travels down the street, drives over these, scans it, sort of like a barcode at the grocery store type of system.
In a split second, the computer at DACS is alerted. These floats are a cutting-edge collection of mechanical wizardry. With a battery-powered drive system, high-powered sound system, and onboard air conditioning, each float is a mini rolling theater.
We also have an individual computer on each float that does all the programming. Tells all the effects, when to turn on, when to turn off, when the turntables rotate, when the turntables stop.
When it comes to entertainment at Walt Disney World, the Main Street Parade is the tip of the iceberg. More than 1,700 performers take to the stage every day.
I think we're the largest producer and creator and performer of entertainment that happens on a regular basis every day in the world.
But the Magic Kingdom was just the beginning. Coming up next, a radical new theme park. Epcot makes its mark on the world with Disney's fastest and most intense rides ever. And later, it's Disney's scariest creation. Are you brave enough to ride? Disney's theme park of the future when we come back. 4 theme parks, 3 water parks, dozens of hotels. This is Walt Disney World. For 11 years straight, the Magic Kingdom was the only theme park at Walt Disney World. The success of this park inspired Disney chiefs to tackle another, Epcot. Epcot was Walt's vision for a Disney-fied utopian city of the future.
The most exciting, the most important part of our Florida project will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow. We call it Epcot.
The Imagineers struggled. How would they build Walt's city of tomorrow?
Eventually, the realization struck that you can't have people living and working in the same community that people are coming through.
It was up to Disney's Imagineers to decide what Epcot would be. Some wanted a technology showcase of the future. Others voted for a permanent World's Fair. Future World and World Showcase were concepts for 2 different parks. Then, in one pivotal moment, it all came together.
One day, Marty got on one model and John got on another, and they literally pushed them together, and that became Epcot.
Communications, energy, transportation, farming. These were the subjects of the attractions that made up Future World. For World Showcase, picture-perfect pavilions representing various countries were created with a fanatical attention to detail. Mexico, China, France, and Germany were among the first.
We didn't want to focus on one part of the globe as much as to have a sampling of cultures from around the world.
And I think we were very successful, actually, in creating architectural icons that really evoke the majesty of these countries.
At 260 acres, Epcot was more than twice the size of the Magic Kingdom, and an enormous risk for Walt Disney World. A decade of planning, 3 years of construction, 3,000 designers and 4,000 construction workers, and this was only the beginning. 54 million cubic feet of dirt had to be moved, and the clock was ticking. By the end of the first year of operation, the total cost of Epcot was a reported $1 billion.
It was an amazing time. We really felt like we were doing something that no one had ever done before. We felt like we were reinventing this notion of a World's Fair or a theme park or a city of tomorrow and doing something totally different. It was exciting, great time.
Epcot needed an icon, its own Cinderella castle. But a French chateau in a city of tomorrow wasn't going to cut it. The solution? A colossal geodesic sphere called Spaceship Earth. At 180 feet high and more than 16 million pounds, there's nothing else like it.
This is the first geodesic sphere that ever was completely lifted off the ground. All of them had been domes for a good reason. Nobody could figure out how to complete that dome, that hemisphere, and turn it into a full sphere and then lift it off the ground.
October 1982, Epcot opens. A radical departure from Disneyland in the Magic Kingdom. No one knew how the public would react.
When they first opened, they had a rough time getting the message across as what it was. And a lot of people said, all this is just a World's Fair. And the Disney officials kept saying, no, it's much, much more.
My niece was disappointed when she went to Epcot because she wanted the rides. She didn't want to learn about how hydroponic plants are grown.
Well, I think the notion that Epcot is an educational place has always kind of been a little bit of a challenge for it. You know, it's always been like, oh, gee, do I really want to get educated on my vacation?
Walt Disney World knew Epcot had to change, and it did. The world's largest man-made ocean environment, an interactive technology showcase, and a 3D special effects show kept the turnstiles turning. But it wasn't enough. Epcot was missing an essential ingredient.
Through the years, they realized that the people that come to Disney wanted thrill rides.
One of Epcot's early attractions, the World of Motion, was ready for a facelift. Its sponsor, General Motors, wanted a change. High-level meetings with Disney ensued. The question? How to turn a tired attraction into a white-knuckle thrill ride.
And one of the things that really struck us was the testing grounds, the proving grounds, where they put the cars through these torture tests. We said, this is really fascinating. They said, okay, that could be this Gatebuster attraction.
Test Track puts you through all the punishing tests vehicles go through before production. There are teeth-chattering suspension tests, breath-catching brake tests, and hot and cold climate tests. The gut-wrenching finale, a 65-mile-an-hour speed test. The result? The fastest ride at Walt Disney World. Test Track put Epcot on every thrill seeker's must-see list.
I like Test Track because you can do things there that you can't do on the road.
Recently, a new addition made its debut at Epcot. It's Mission Space, a one-of-a-kind attraction that just may be redefining thrill rides by giving passengers a realistic rocket launch and an exhilarating spaceflight training experience.
If you've dreamed of being an astronaut or you want to know what it's like to be an astronaut, this is it.
It's almost a sensory overload experience when those rockets ignite and you start to lift off of the Earth's surface. Your body feels pushed back into the seat. You can sometimes even feel your cheeks being pulled back. The entire capsule is shaking and rumbling, and you start to see those clouds go by as you race off into space.
The mission, if you choose to accept, is an immersive journey to the Red Planet. But this space odyssey isn't for the faint of heart. Some say Mission Space is the most intense thrill ride they've ever experienced.
As soon as you get up in the air, your hands are like, you can't even feel your hands. It's great.
Mission Space may blast you out of this world, but it's World Showcase that sets the stage for Disney's most ambitious spectacle, Illuminations.
I don't think there's any place else in the world where you can see something in the round for a nighttime spectacular that incorporates not only a story, but a significant amount of effects that I think are done exceptionally well.
Thousands of fireworks, massive fountains, blinding flame effects, and enormous spherical television. This nighttime extravaganza packs them in for every show. It's how Epcot ends its day.
I think Illuminations is certainly one of the largest shows we've ever done. It's one of the most technically complicated shows we've ever done.
With live fireworks wired to detonate, the barges containing the show effects are floated onto the lagoon each day.
The first barge we take out is the Earth Globe. It weighs approximately 350,000 pounds, has 4 260 horsepower jet engines in it.
With 15,500 miniature video screens, it's not your average television. This Titanic TV floats, spins, and explodes.
The video on the Earth Globe is very, very new. No one's ever wrapped a video around the world on an Earth Globe and then made it turn.
In the center of it all, the Inferno barge. Packed with 4,000 gallons of liquid propane, this fiery monster is primed to explode, but only on cue.
Each of the nozzles that you can see behind and around me are different types of effects. They might have a mushroom cloud come out, or the nozzles right behind me are a straight impinging jet.
Hopefully, there's just the spirit of fun that goes with the nighttime spectacular at night, that the last thing they see, and what we've always called it, is our kiss goodnight.
But Epcot is still only the beginning. Coming up next, Disney goes to the movies, and thrill rides become the name of the game. And later, lions, tigers, and dinosaurs? Disney's biggest thrills when we come back. Walt Disney World. Once just a magic kingdom, it made Epcot a household word. Then in 1983, the very foundations of the Disney company were shaken. Declining profits, hostile corporate takeovers. The future of Walt Disney World suddenly looked bleak.
The Disney theme parks and the Disney Corporation was very non-edgy. It was corporate business. They were struggling. They were trying to redefine the whole company. And the parks were suffering because of it.
The early 80s was probably one of the rockiest times for the Disney company. We'd finished Epcot. While it morphed quite a bit in what we delivered there, it was still something that was in the table that Walt had left us of things to do. But now here we were with no great dream that Walt Disney had left.
When Michael Eisner became CEO in 1984, he took the mouse by the ears. Things were going to change.
Michael Eisner and the entire staff of the theme parks really jumped in and said, let's reinvent the theme park. Let's invest some money. Let's do this. Let's do that. And they did.
Michael Eisner knew Walt Disney World needed a facelift. The obvious choice? Another theme park. Plans were already on the table for a new Epcot pavilion. It was based on the movies.
The idea became so compelling and so exciting that pretty much everybody said, this is an idea that's much bigger than one attraction or one pavilion.
So the magic of Hollywood would come to Orlando in Disney's next theme park.
We were trying to go for a combination of sort of working studio and the Hollywood that everybody thinks was, but really never was there, the sort of dream of Hollywood.
On the other side of town, another entertainment giant started muscling in on Disney's turf.
A lot of people think that when Universal Studios decided to build and announce a studio here in Central Florida, that Disney reacted and said, oh my gosh, we have to build a studio. Well, in reality, Disney had already been working on one. They had it on the back burner for a while, then they put it on the front burner.
The race was on. Who would open first? In May of 1989, it was the Disney MGM Studios. There were rides, shows, and a working production studio.
At the time when Disney MGM Studios opened, it was probably the most defined theme park ever. Everything was very, very strong.
In the race to open first, major attractions were left on the drawing table. The park was too small, and the public wanted in.
When the park first opened, we had two rides, the Great Movie Ride and then the Backstage Studio Tour featuring Catastrophe Canyon.
There was only one way to expand.
One thing that was lacking, and the entire property was lacking at that time, were thrill rides.
But did Disney have what it takes to thrill the next generation?
In the early 80s, that was Star Wars, E.T., Indiana Jones. And our company was not in touch with where the young people were at that time. So I went to management and I said, we really need to get involved with George Lucas. And it was sort of like heresy.
Finally, there was a meeting of the minds. Disney sat down with George Lucas.
And George said, you know, if I wasn't able to do it on my own, the only company that I'd want my product in would be Disney, because I think both of us have a recognized leadership in the type of products we do.
And we thought that the idea of taking the George Lucas Star Wars characters and that kind of adventure thing and sort of spinning the exterior so it felt like it was more of a movie set would be a perfect addition to this park.
Star Tours was the first motion simulator ride ever created. By integrating film and motion simulation, visitors are transported into the world of Star Wars.
I remember the trench shot in the first Star Wars film, and everyone in the audience, was right there going, God, if I could only feel that, wouldn't it be great?
Star Tours was a hit. Thrill rides were the name of the game. But how to top it?
We looked at other kinds of thrill experiences that existed in the world, and one was a free fall kind of attraction. We thought, how could you take that kind of experience and put a story around it?
And how would that story make sense in a movie theme park?
And that's when we decided to take the layer of the Twilight Zone and add a recognizable story and character element to it.
Years of design, testing, and construction led to the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. This colossal attraction dominates the skyline at the Disney MGM studios. It's one of the most intricately themed and mechanically complicated rides at any park.
The moment you walk into the park, it's huge. And when the doors pop open and you hear guests screaming, you know that's an attraction I want to ride.
Visitors enter the cobweb-infested lobby of a deserted hotel. Their next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Oh, there you are. We've been expecting you.
One Halloween night in 1939, something amazing happened. 5 guests were traveling in an ordinary elevator when an unbelievable phenomenon happened. A lightning bolt struck the tower, and the elevator disappeared. These 5 people forever transfixed into the Twilight Zone.
This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator, still in operation, waiting for you. We invite you, if you dare, to step aboard, because in tonight's episode, you are the star, and this elevator travels directly to the Twilight Zone.
A creepy boiler room.
We are pleased that out of all the hotels in Hollywood, you chose to stay with us.
An abandoned elevator. A motor that's seen better days. Sounds like a horror film. And it is.
Please, do enjoy your stay.
The lift ascends quickly. You know that for every floor you go up, you're going to come down. Spooky apparitions appear. They are only a distraction for what lies ahead. Suddenly, the doors open, and you are thrust forward. No elevator has ever done this before. A moment of silence, and then... The insidious elevator is unlike anything ever created. Until now, Disney has never allowed cameras into the heart of this beast, the elevator shaft.
This is one of the lifts that will take you up and down at a very high rate of speed. This is where the big piece of this attraction is located.
During the drop, riders descend at a stomach-churning rate of more than 1,900 feet per minute.
The lift is actually dropping at a higher rate of speed than gravity, where we're pulling it down quicker than that, which means that everything is basically floating as you are moving down.
This elevator doesn't stop there. It drops its victims over and over. You never know how many times you'll fall.
Because of the computer programming that we have with this ride, we've been able to change that as the years have gone by. Where now we have multiple drops that take place every time the guests experience the ride.
We just went on the Tower of Terror twice because it is just so much fun. It picks you up and it drops you, it picks you up and it drops you, and you just never know when it's going to end. It's really cool.
With the addition of the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, Disney MGM Studios became the Walt Disney World park for thrill junkies. As if it wasn't big enough, coming up next, an explosion of growth. And there's a new beast on the block. Lions move in with the mouse when we come back. By Disney's 25th birthday in 1996, Orlando was the theme park capital of the world. Competition had moved in, preying upon Disney's success. Walt Disney World was still #1, and Michael Eisner wanted to keep it that way.
In January of 1990, Eisner announced the Disney Decade, and people kept saying, what is a Disney Decade? Well, it was his effort to reinvent the theme parks.
Step 1, keep people on Disney property.
Disney's taken a huge initiative in the last 10 or more years to build more hotel rooms because they realized millions of people were coming to Orlando, and Disney was the reason most of them were coming to Orlando, and they were staying off property.
Walt Disney World added a whopping 12,500 hotel rooms. To Eisner, the designs were crucial.
Because he always said, if you go to see a bad movie or a bad TV program, after 2 days, you forget about it. But if you design a bad building, it's going to be sitting there, and they'd be staring at it for a long time.
Like the lands in the parks, Disney themes their resorts.
We don't want to just build regular hotels like matchboxes. They'll be so boring. We want to make sure every hotel will have its own architectural character and architectural style.
Fanatics for detail, Disney mocks up every room design.
Once we know, the model room works, the rest of 500 or 1,000 rooms will work as well.
When the latest resort is completed, they'll have close to 30,000 hotel rooms, which surprisingly is about half as many hotel rooms as are in all of New York City.
With so many wannabe theme parks treading on Disney's turf, hotel rooms were only part of the plan. A host of new attractions were added to entice people to spend even more time at Walt Disney World.
Walt Disney World has expanded over the years in a variety of different ways, and probably the biggest reason is we wanted to become an all-inclusive destination experience for our guests.
Now more and more parks are starting to try to do the same thing. They are learning from Disney that building hotels and building retail helps keep people on your property.
Part 2 of the plan? Michael Eisner had something else up his sleeve.
Michael Eisner had advanced the idea that we should look into doing something with animals.
It would take them into uncharted territory, the animal kingdom, and another theme park.
As soon as we realized that we would be asked to design something that was going to have live animals in it, we realized that there was a tremendous amount we were going to need to learn.
With animals come huge risks, and Disney can never afford to fail.
The concerns were that if you did something with animals, you would be in competition with zoos, and that there are so many zoos all around the country that it would be very difficult to differentiate yourself, to get people to understand that this was something that you wanted to fly down to Florida to see.
At 500 acres, Disney's Animal Kingdom is a monster. The Magic Kingdom, Epcot, the Disney MGM Studios combined, they fit comfortably inside Disney's 4th theme park.
Building Animal Kingdom was a new challenge for the Walt Disney Company because they'd never done it.
6 years in the making, 1 million square feet of rock work, 43,000 truckloads of dirt. The cost? A reported $800 million. Disney's Animal Kingdom, part animal park, part theme park. This was the new beast on the block.
They call it a new species, the thrill park. So it was a new challenge, and they're still trying to identify to a lot of people what it's all about. You know, it's not a zoo. It's a species of theme park that happens to deal with animals.
I think Disney's Animal Kingdom has been a success in that it's given Disney a product to offer people that isn't Busch Gardens.
In the year 2000, the Disney Decade was done.
Well, Eisner was able to pull it all together. And over that 10-year period, everybody was surprised, including myself, what he was able to accomplish as far as reinventing the parks.
But the Disney decade wasn't the end. Coming up, Walt Disney World enters the new millennium. But what will they think of next? Find out when we return. According to Amusement Business magazine, Walt Disney World attracts nearly 40 million visitors per year. In fact, the Walt Disney Company holds the top 5 spots for theme park attendance.
Walt Disney World, beyond a doubt, is the most attended amusement resort in the entire world.
Disney strives for excellence, and many say their employees are no exception.
Take a right, and then it's going to be right. The thing that Walt Disney World does better than anyone else is service. In fact, if you think about the fact that they don't call people who visit their attractions customers, but rather guests, and they try to treat them as though they are a guest in their home.
Disney calls them cast members. The ranks of Walt Disney World's workforce has swelled from 5,500 to a whopping 55,000.
We happen to be the largest single-site employer in the United States, and as a result of that, of course, there are going to be times where it's challenging to hire the cast members that we need to work here.
The expectations of people who come to Disney, I think, are probably higher than when they do anything else in their life.
Disney is held to a higher standard because Disney started out holding itself to a higher standard.
In the battle for theme park visitors, Disney can't afford to get lazy.
Competition is really good because it keeps you on your toes. It makes you want to go beyond where you were before. It makes you want to run faster.
The Disney company will continue to expand because they need to expand to keep tourists coming back.
We have land set aside for more hotels, even for more theme parks. We can continue to develop for the next many decades.
I think the biggest change that our guests are going to see in the future is a technological advancement. We want to use technology, like a good example is FastPass. We have introduced new technology into our parks that basically take the lines away, and guests don't have to wait in a line anymore.
The technologies that are available to us today in terms of display systems and motion systems and the ability to synthesize and make things seem real are so much greater that we can literally take you anywhere.
You really have limitless territory to work at because you can go wherever the imagination takes you.
While Disney won't release specifics about future plans for Walt Disney World, one thing is certain. Whatever they are, they will rely on the one thing that no other theme park on Earth can duplicate: the philosophy and tradition of Walt Disney.
The belief system and the heritage and tradition that Walt left us was something that is very, very positive and very, very powerful, even today.
Nothing's ever going to be like Disney, really. It never will be, and probably will never even approach it.